Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 4, text 34, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This well-known verse appears in the chapter of Bhagavad-gita called Transcendental Knowledge. Much of this chapter is devoted to descriptions of sacrifices. And Krishna, in summarizing the descriptions of sacrifices, says that the ultimate gain to be had from sacrifice is knowledge. Sacrifices are the central focus of Vedic culture. That people perform their respective duties, and the higher castes, they daily perform yajna, sacrifice in their homes. And from time to time, the pious kings collecting taxes in the form of grains, gold, horses, etc., from the populace, perform very grand sacrifices. Now, generally these sacrifices are conducted for the sake of material well-being. That the Vedic rishis means seer, one who sees beyond the gross manifestation of this material world. So they could see the subtle workings of the universe and how sacrifices are required to uphold prosperity and auspiciousness in human society. However, as Krishna explains in this chapter, the higher goal that can be had from performing sacrifices is not simply some karmic gain, but knowledge. Now, knowledge, of course, there are so many different facets of knowledge, there are so many different subjects of knowledge. But within the Upanishads, or the Jnana-kanda portion of the Vedas, knowledge specifically means, Jnana means tattva-jnana, or knowledge of reality. So this Bhagavad-gita, this is concerned with Jnana, knowledge, transcendental knowledge. So now Krishna is explaining how, in this verse, he is explaining how we can understand how to perform sacrifices and what is the purpose of performing sacrifices. Now again, yajna, it's an interface between the gross aspects of this material world and the subtle, and beyond that to the spiritual. Now from the external point of view, a sacrifice, it may seem just like we light a fire and say something and pour something into it. Prabhupada explains in the concluding the previous purport that the result of the yajna will depend on the consciousness of the performers. If one desires simply some good karmic result, that is karma-kanda. But if one wants knowledge of reality, the same sacrifice can be performed to have the much higher gain of tattva-jnana. Now, the result obtained through karma-kanda, that is gross, material enjoyment. Going to the heavenly planets, or even on this planet, in this life, one can gain facilities for material enjoyment. Because the Vedic understanding of material enjoyment is different to that of our modern gross society. Dhanavan dhanyavan, gavayo dhanyavan. One is wealthy if he has many grains and cows, it is considered thus. And one is considered fortunate if he has many sons. He is not considered a burden, as in modern life. But anyway, what can be obtained through karma-kanda, that is gross. But what is obtained through jnana-kanda, knowledge of the absolute truth, that is subtle. We can't see how the grains offered in the fire go to Vishnu. We don't see Vishnu. We don't appreciate through our gross senses what is the significance of these mantras. So to understand the significance of this, one has to approach Tattva-darshi, one who sees the tattva, one who sees the reality beyond the gross manifestations. In other words, we have to approach a guru. We find a similar statement about the need to approach a guru also spoken by Lord Krishna when he was speaking Bhagavad-gita. This same knowledge spoken in a more extensive way to Uddhava. There he says, Tasmat gurung prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam. That therefore one should surrender to a guru and inquire about him, about the topmost benefit that is obtainable. Shabde parecha nishnatam brahmanyu pashamashrayam. And the symptoms of a guru are given that he has gone to the other side of the Vedic knowledge. In other words, he is completely competent in Vedic knowledge. And just as we are enjoined to take shelter of him, he himself has taken shelter in the Supreme Absolute Truth. So the first word of this verse is Tasmat. Tasmat gurung prapadyeta. Tasmat means therefore. What does this therefore mean? What is it in apposition to? Previous to this, Krishna has described to Uddhava the nature of this material world. That even the heavenly planets, where there is tremendous opportunity for gross sense gratification, there is no real happiness. Therefore, one should inquire from a guru about the ultimate benefit of life. That benefit which cannot be obtained even by going to the heavenly planet. Tasyaiva heto prayateta ko vido na labhyate. What is that verse? Na labhyate. How does it go? I lost it also. Na labhyate brahmane upriyadaha. That one, Narad Muni says, one should seek out that ultimate gain which is not to be had even by going from the top of the universe to the bottom. In other words, there is something to be had which we cannot get in this universe. Even if we experience all the different varieties of apparent happiness, from Brahma Loka all the way down to the bottom, there's something more. So to understand that knowledge, one has to approach a guru. So the same thing's being said here, that one should conduct sacrifices for the sake of getting the highest knowledge. It is necessary to approach a Tattvadarshi, one who has seen the truth, to get this knowledge. Because, by its very definition, this knowledge is not obtainable by any material sense, by any material means. Spiritual knowledge cannot be obtained by any material means. Makes sense, doesn't it? We require the correct method to get that knowledge. So the method is that we should approach someone who has that knowledge and they can give it to us. But at the same time, we should understand this is not like university knowledge or some go to the library, teach yourself mathematics or teach yourself jujitsu or something like that. There's no such thing. Actually, even these teach yourself books, that's also cheating, because you can never learn anything, even material, you can never learn anything properly without a teacher. Just to give an example, one of our devotees was living in India. He was studying astrology by reading books. So, one astrologer who had learned by the proper system of learning from a guru, he seeing this devotee's readings, he said, yes, he has a lot of knowledge, but he still makes basic mistakes because he doesn't have the understanding that comes from being guided in the parampara. So this is only astrology, that's a material science. Subtle but material. So what to speak of Atmagyan, knowledge of the self, also called Tattvagyan, knowledge of reality. So to understand that knowledge, it is absolutely essential that one approaches a guru who has that knowledge. And there's a method to approach also. It is not an academic method. The three conditions are required. Three basic conditions. Of which the most important is seva, service. The first is given here by pranipatena. That means by approaching a spiritual master, it literally means by falling down. There are so many words. Patita means fallen. Patan means But patita means fallen person. Patan means fallen condition. Or falling. So this is pranipat, that means to voluntarily fall down. Unless we are prepared to fall down in submission before a spiritual master, then we fall down into 84 lakh species of life. Unless we're prepared to voluntarily submit ourselves at the feet of a spiritual master who can lift us up, then all our endeavors to go up without that will simply result in going down. So this pranipat, falling down, offering obeisances, that has to be sincere. That means with a sincere desire to understand Shriya Uttamam, what is the topmost benefit of life. That sincerity in offering obeisances will be seen by the attitude of service. Pariprashna. Prashna means question. Pariprashna means asking all kinds of relevant questions. In other words, one should be eager to understand the subject matter in all details. And again, the service attitude must be there from the beginning. Because when we actually get that jnana, when we get the knowledge of reality, we will understand that reality means that we are servants. This is a revolutionary proposition for the conditioned soul. Everyone is thinking, Ishvar aham, I am the controller. Aham bhogi, everything in the universe is meant for my enjoyment. Siddhoham, I am perfect. No one has anything to tell me. I don't need to go to a guru. I'm okay. I don't need this. You give the book to say, I don't need this. Siddhoham balavan, why should I bow down to anyone? I'm very powerful myself. I rely on my own strength. And sukhi, I'm very happy. This is the demoniac mentality. Ishvaraham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. I am the controller. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful and happy. Foolishness. But it's normal. Normal in this material world to be fool number one. Everyone is competing to be Ishvar, Bhogi, Siddha, Balavan and Sukhi. But actually they're simply demonstrating their foolishness. I am the greatest. Famous saying of Cassius Clay, later known as Muhammad Ali. Before your time. Boxer. Boxing. 1964 heavyweight Olympics boxing champion. Cassius Clay at the time. And his famous saying was, I am the greatest. Later he became a Muslim and said, Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest. That's better. So, yeah, you've got good Arabic pronunciation, better than mine. Allahu Akbar. So, that's true. Allah. He is Akbar, not us. He is great. Allah. Allah. Something like that. So to Prabhupada would say that all the religions say that God is great. That is good. But Prabhupada would say, it is not enough to know that God is great. But we should know how He is great. Otherwise, the tendency is to think that God is great and I'm also great. So God's maybe a little bit bigger than me. Maybe a little bit smaller also. We give God a pat on the head. To learn actually who is God and what is our relationship with Him, we have to follow this transcendental system, which begins and ends with service. In the beginning, one is trained in service, or one may not know exactly why he's doing so. But without that training, one can never come to the position of perfection, which the perfectional position is to understand, I am servant of Krishna. In the beginning, one may do service, but in the heart there is still this false pride that actually I'm very great. So by taking knowledge and training from a guru, we understand I am not great, Krishna is great. Our tendency to think I am so wonderful is so strong that even when we're doing service, we like to show I'm a better servant than others. I am the greatest servant. So with this attitude that even though we're superficially doing service, even though we're superficially doing pranipat, offering obeisances, we can't actually make advancement. So we have to learn from Guru how Krishna is great. And the idea that I am great is simply foolishness. Therefore, vidyada dati vinayam. If we actually have knowledge, then we must be humble. That humility is the hallmark of a devotee. Characteristic. That humility is not something that can be artificially imitated. That actual humility, that is the natural condition of one who is actually siddha, who is actually perfect in the transcendental sense. We're just reading that. Sarvotam hin nijje mane. What is that? Yeah. Sarvotam hin nijje mane kare. Who is the greatest devotee? He thinks himself very fallen and low. So we were just going through some of the writings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he's like a gushing fountain of tremendously realized transcendental knowledge. Continuously from his mouth, streams of amazing Hari Katha constantly flowing. This is not anything that can be academically imitated. But every word he spoke was the natural kirtan of someone who's in a compact of direct love with Krishna. Krishna is directly manifest in his heart. And his heart is fully dedicated to Krishna. Sadhunang hridayang mahyang sadhunang hridayang tvam. Aranyate na jananti nahang tebhyo managapi. Krishna says that sadhus or devotees, they are my heart. And I am the heart of the devotees. Because they know nothing but me and I know nothing but them. So from that kirtan of his speaking continuously about Krishna was continuously flowing from the purified heart which is directly in contact with Krishna in full surrender and full love. So there's no way to materially measure this, but there's no doubt that he is fully absorbed in love of Krishna. But again and again we'll find in his writings and his speakings that I am a conditioned soul, I'm very fallen. At one of his Vyasa Puja ceremonies, he gave a speech beginning that, my dear friends, addressing his disciples, who are the saviors, they're saving me from all dangers. And what is the danger for him? He's always protected by Krishna. There's no question of any danger, but he perceives that I need the help of my friends. So this genuine humility, that is the manifest symptom of one who has actually attained knowledge. When we're talking about knowledge, that ultimately means knowledge of Krishna. And that knowledge, it's not simply book knowledge or academic knowledge. Just like we may say, oh, I know that person. What do we mean when we say, I know such and such? Does it mean that we recognize the photograph, we know his average weight, height, blood pressure, we know how his digestive system works? What does it mean that we know someone? It doesn't mean that we know the body. And it also, nowadays this psychology is very popular, but we cannot know someone by psychology.
It's not.
We can speculate on their mental functions, but that also you can't know. At best we can say it's a very imperfect science. But we can actually know someone when we become very close to them in a loving relationship. So to know Krishna is possible through bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. What we need to know most of all is Krishna Tattva, the knowledge of Krishna. What the impersonalists, they become attracted to knowledge of Tattva Gyan, knowledge of reality. What is that highest Tattva, the highest reality? That is elaborately explained in Srimad Bhagavatam as Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, the specific knowledge of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead, who is Krishna. So we can know Krishna through the process of bhakti. Bhakti means to love Krishna. And bhakti in its beginning stages, that is the process for developing that, or not developing, but reviving that love of Krishna. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhakti in the beginning stages leads to bhakti. However, as we are presently in the contaminated condition, in which we have no real idea at all about Krishna or love of Krishna, we therefore need guidance along the path. It is very easy to get sidetracked at any time, at any point. So to act under the guidance of a guru means that we are kept on the right track and steadily advancing. Guru Tattva is also a very big subject. The subject matter of Guru. How exactly does this work? Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasada nagati katopi. By the mercy of the Guru, one gets the mercy of Krishna, and by his aprasad or non-mercy or dissatisfaction, nagati katopi, we cannot attain the gati Govinda, Krishna. Nagati katopi, kuto means some other, and api means even. So even though we may do so many other things, we may do Ganga parikrama barefoot. That means walking from the source of the Ganga to where Ganga enters the sea on one side, and then you cross over and come back the other side. That's quite a padayatra. Some people do it. So there are so many things we can do. We can do bhakti. We can make offerings to the deity. We can study Srimad Bhagavatam. We can chant Hare Krishna. But if we don't satisfy the spiritual master, then we won't attain the goal of Krishna. So it's a very great subject to understand. How does this work? How does the atom bomb work? You have any atomic scientists here? Anyone? You hit the button, right? And then it goes,
This is
that's how it works. E equals mc squared. Everyone knows that? Einstein. Anyway, we can say, what does it mean? We can say the formula. What is it? Energy equals mass times something squared.
It's speed
mass
of
times
light.
Motion, yeah.
Speed of light.
Yeah, times
Squared.
mass squared. So I can say it. It doesn't mean I understand it. How does this, even mundane knowledge, how does it work? How do we understand it? What to speak of knowledge of Krishna? It is a great subject. But without entering into that now, we can simply say that by the mercy of Guru, one is benedicted by the mercy of Krishna. So how to get that mercy? By genuine service attitude, a genuine attitude of surrender, bowing down, and being very eager to understand the subject matter of Krishna by making various inquiries. Search for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Maybe you know that anecdote with Srila Prabhupada in Chennai, at that time called Madras, in South India, that one of his disciples, or the couple, Shyamasundar and Malati, their small daughter was known as Saraswati. So Saraswati had a small doll, I guess you could say, of Krishna, which she was very attached to. And one time Prabhupada, when she wasn't looking, he took that and hid it. And then she became very disturbed. Where is Krishna? She was looking everywhere. Where is Krishna? Hey Radhe Rajadevi Kechalalite. Hey Nandasuna. Kutaha. The 6 Goswamis will say, where? Where is Radha? Oh Radha, oh Krishna, hey Radhe Rajadevi. Oh the gopis, oh Lalita, where are you? Where are you? They were calling out like this. So Saraswati was calling out, Krishna, Krishna, where is Krishna? So then the devotees there, they gave her a clue. Saraswati, who has got Krishna? Who can give Krishna? Then she understood. Prabhupada has got Krishna. So then she went to Prabhupada and she asked for Krishna, and Prabhupada gave her. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati ache. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the Vaishnava has Krishna. You can give Krishna. Therefore, amito kangal, considering myself, not considering myself, but he's saying, I am very fallen and lowly. Actually in Sanskritam, there's so many words for this. Deen, heen, patit, pama, akinchan, kangal. They all mean very fallen, lowly, sinful. So, amito kangal, it literally means like that, akinchan, poverty-stricken.
Yeah.
Amito Kangal. Yeah. Amito Kangal, Krishna, Krishna boli dhai tava pache pache. I'm simply running after you, calling out, Krishna, Krishna, give me Krishna. So this is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. As Prabhupada mentions here, quoting Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. It's the very powerful transcendental process. How does it work? Well, Krishna is pleased when his devotee is pleased. So if you please the devotee, then you please Krishna. And how can we please the devotee? When we sincerely try to serve Krishna. The devotee teaches us how to serve Krishna. And when he's pleased with our attempts, then Krishna is pleased. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any question about this?
It is said that when a spiritual master gives some instruction to his disciple, he at the same time gives the power to the disciple to execute that instruction. So what is our position if we are unable to follow the instruction or advice of a spiritual master? I will say in Czech also to the mic.
Your question is it contains a contradiction. You said he gives the power to do it, then what do we do if we can't do it? That means it's our own rascaldom, isn't it? So what do we do? Well, stop being a rascal, that's all. Just do it. Of course, spiritual master is always there to help also. So if we find some difficulty in executing that order, we can also express that difficulty and ask for further instructions on how to execute it. When it's said that the power comes to do it, that means that the whole energy of the spiritual world is there to help us. And therefore, things which may seem impossible to execute become possible by this spiritual potency. Just like Prabhupada gave the order, print 17 books in 2 months. And all I had was the untranscribed, unedited recordings of Srila Prabhupada's dictation. So the reply came back, impossible. Prabhupada replied, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. That was actually a quote from Napoleon, which Prabhupada used. When he told, in the beginning of winter, he told his troops, march over the Alps. They said impossible. He said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. He marched them over the Alps. So with the order comes the potency to execute it. So the devotees, realizing that their whole spiritual life was on the line, means under test, they consulted among themselves and came back to Prabhupada. And he said, Prabhupada, we'll do it by your grace. But can you stay here in Los Angeles so that we can consult you about the different editing and the pictures and everything like this? Prabhupada agreed. So they stopped practically eating, sleeping for 2 months, and they did it. One of my godbrothers who was there at the time, he's from London. I'll be meeting him in a few days' time. Rancho Prabhu. He was there. So he was one of the artists at that time. So there's a very beautiful picture in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, which is one of those 17 books, of Maharaj Chitraketu approaching Sankarshan. So I asked Rancha, who painted that? He said, well, so-and-so started it, and this bush was done by such and such, and I did those dots there, and such and such started it, and then he just collapsed on the canvas. And then someone else came and did something else. Then he was called up to do another picture. And then I finished it off like this. It was a very beautiful picture. There's another picture which came in that same book of Mahavishnu with Durga Devi offering prayers. And Rancha Prabhu told me, this is just incidental, tangential. Rancha Prabhu told me that when Prabhupada saw this picture, he said, at last, Mahavishnu. In other words, it seems that he wasn't so content with the previous paintings that had been done. Yeah, you had a question. The same thing happened to me, but worse. How did I get up on this seat here? Just by default, if you just stay in the movement long enough, then your seat goes up. So when your seat gets big, you have to make sure your head doesn't get bigger. As it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then someday someone will put a pin in the whole thing and go. That's why it's very. There could be many answers to this, but one thing is very valuable to read and hear the pastimes of real devotees. I mean, you're a real devotee, but the great acharyas. And when we have some insights into how great they are, then we can understand that if anyone sees anything good in me, it must be because of my connection with them. And that glorification, it can't actually be meant for me because I'm just an animal. But it just goes to glorify the acharyas who, even such a wretch as myself, somehow or other by contact with the acharyas, something is there, something is happening, some manifestation of purification. So there is nothing in me that I'm just a snarling, nasty animal. But Krishna wants to show how great is my Guru, how great are the acharyas. So they have chosen the most wretched and given even myself a chance to engage in their service. Jogata bichare kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna shah. You know what that means? No, you can say. If you consider my qualification, my eligibility, Jogata, kichu nahi pai, you will find nothing. Tomara karuna shah, your mercy is the essence. So if we think this praise is meant for me, then it's very dangerous. If we think that at all there's any truth in it, then we're in trouble. If there's any praise of ourselves, that should just help us to remind us of our actual position and the actual position of our acharyas, and help us to consider how low I actually am. This is how a devotee should think. Then, anything? Yeah, as I was saying, Guru Tattva is a big subject. You're saying Guru is not on the highest stage, then how can Guru not be on the highest stage? If he himself is fully surrendered to his spiritual master, then the link is there, no? That's how the parampara works. Guru should be careful to act in a way that martya buddhi doesn't come in the mind of the disciple. Can you explain?
Yeah.
What is martya buddhi? He has to act as the emissary of Krishna. Prabhupada gave the example of the Viceroy. The Viceroy was a position in the British Raj in India, that because the king or the emperor of India was residing in London, the Viceroy he acted as the representative of the king in India. So his role was just like that of the king. All the regalia, ceremonies, everything was conducted just as if he was the king. He was the representative of the king. But because he did his duty as he acted perfectly as the representative of the king, and whoever brought any offering to him, they would get the same result as giving to the king. Guru acts as a peon, messenger. He carries the message. So if he carries, you can get. But again, it should be understood that the carrying of the message is not like some material knowledge, that knowledge is to be realized. And that realization is manifested as service. The Guru teaches to be a servant of Krishna through the parampara system, and he himself is the ideal servant. Now, that one surrenders to Guru does not mean that one withdraws one's discrimination. Even Arjuna, he didn't just accept what Krishna said. He asked him so many questions. Several times we find in the course of Shukadeva Goswami's narration that Parikshit Maharaj said, "What is this? What are you saying? How can we accept this?" So questioning is not forbidden. In fact, it's required. But that questioning should be accompanied with submission. Just like in the course of narrating Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna, Krishna said, what is that? Imang vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam. I spoke this knowledge previously to Vivasvan. Then Arjuna interrupted Krishna and said, Aparang bhavato janma, parang janma vivasvataha. That you were born after Vivasvan. He was born before you. Katam etad vijaneyam tomado proktavaniti. How can I understand that you spoke this knowledge to him in such a long distant time? Now he didn't say to Krishna, come on, you're talking rubbish. But he said, how can I understand this? It was a challenge almost. But he didn't reject what Krishna had said, but he said, how can I understand this? So Arjuna had a doubt. He had a doubt in what Krishna said. But at the same time, Arjuna accepted that his doubt was probably based on his own personal misunderstanding rather than Krishna's misunderstanding. And actually Krishna then explained how it was possible. The verses following this are a very important part of Bhagavad-gita, explaining the transcendental nature of Krishna. That he doesn't have any material birth, but he appears in this world again and again. So similarly we find Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukadeva, what is this? Krishna came to establish dharma and he's performing activities which appear to be adharma. He's dancing with other people's wives. So it's a very severe challenge. But it opens actually it leads to Shukadeva's explanation of transcendental reality of Krishna. Now, of course, this faith in Guru can be misused also. If one has taken the position of Guru and demands the faith and submission of disciples, but doesn't himself act according to the proper standard of Guru, then that is cheating. Guru himself must act and speak according to his own Guru, sadhus and shastra. If he appears not to do so, then the disciple may question why. And the Guru should be able to satisfy the disciple by explanations based on Guru, sadhu and shastra. It's a very great topic, very important topic, but I won't dilate on it more now because it's time to see how the Drus are taking to Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Maybe I'll write a book on this in some point. I've got hundreds of pages of notes on Guru and disciple in Krishna consciousness. But that's another project after, so many other books, which have also not yet manifested. Hare Krishna. All glories to Jagat Guru.